Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tackling something literally every ambitious person deals with. And honestly, it's the exact thing that separates the good from the truly great in high-stakes environments. We're talking about how deep thinkers connect information to perform better in high-pressure meetings. You know the type, right? The people who just dominate those intense boardroom discussions, the ones who always have that brilliant, perfect insight ready right when it counts. Well, they don't necessarily have more information than you do. It's just that they've built a system to remember, connect, and actually perform under pressure. So let's break down exactly how they do that.
But first, let's start with a painfully relatable story. Just imagine you're on a call with one of the largest hedge fund clients on Wall Street. You've sent over this dense, beautifully crafted financial model predicting future stock prices. You know the data inside and out. You've read everything. But suddenly, the client asks for your opinion on a specific issue entirely outside of that prepared model, and an entire minute passes. Total silence. You've completely frozen. And then, the voice on the other end of the line asks, "Hello, what's going on?" Panic sets in, and you just hang up. You learn the notes, sure, but you didn't know how to make music with them.
Okay, let's dive into exactly why that happens. Section 1. The Fluency Illusion. So, the fluency illusion is this false belief that just because a piece of information feels easy to read or you instantly recognize it on a page, you've actually mastered it. But here's the truth. Recognizing your notes is definitely not the same thing as remembering them. When answers come to us instantly, like, say, from an AI prompt or a perfectly polished article, our brain gets totally tricked. It signals, "Oh, got it, I know this." But actually, scratch that, you don't. It's borrowed fluency with absolutely zero foundation. And the smoother the reading experience is, the more convincing this illusion becomes.
The real danger of this illusion was actually proven way back in the 1880s by a researcher named Hermann Ebbinghaus. He ran these massive memory experiments and discovered something pretty brutal, the forgetting curve. Just look at this number, 70%. Roughly 70% of what we learn and read today is going to vanish completely within 24 hours. By tomorrow morning, it's just gone.
Now, if you're sitting there thinking, wow, my memory is just terrible, stop right there. Your brain isn't broken. Forgetting is actually a protective feature, not some cognitive flaw. Your brain is a highly efficient machine. It's literally designed to discard unrepeated, isolated information just so you can survive the overwhelming stimuli of everyday life. Forgetting is the default setting. But we can't really rely on our default settings if we want to perform at a high level. We need a system.
Which brings us to the core of our explainer today. Section 2. The TRAP framework for building durable memory.
So this is the TRAP framework. It's 4 distinct moves that work perfectly in alignment with how human memory is naturally built. T is for test, R is for retain, A is for associate, and P is for perform. Let's walk through these steps one by one so you can see exactly how to totally upgrade your learning process.
This brings us to a really counterintuitive finding from decades of research at UCLA. It turns out when learning feels easy, very little durable memory is actually being built. Ease and retention essentially move in opposite directions. Researchers call this desirable difficulty. Basically, the harder your brain works to pull an idea out, the stronger the memory becomes. In one study, people who just passively reread material retained only 34% a week later. But those who were forced to actually retrieve the information, to embrace that desirable difficulty, they retained a massive 80%.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that testing isn't just a way to check your memory for grades or scorecards. It's the actual biological mechanism for building memory in the first place. And that is step 1, test. You have to break the fluency illusion. And you don't need some complex setup for this. Just close the book, look away from your screen, and try to say the concept out loud, cold, straight to the wall. If you can't articulate it without looking, you just don't own it yet. If you can, it's yours for sure.
But of course, getting it right today means absolutely nothing if it's gone tomorrow. And that brings us to step 2, retain. Memory is all about mastering the timing game. Think about it. If you review a concept too soon, your brain doesn't have to work hard at all, so nothing durable gets built. But if you wait too long, the memory decays completely, and you are literally rebuilding from rubble. Hitting that perfect window right before you forget is incredibly difficult to do on instinct alone.
And this is exactly where we can leverage modern technology for automated spaced repetition. You can create digital flashcards and use AI-based learning tools, like the MIT startup RemNote, for example, to completely handle the timing for you. The tool tracks exactly what you've mastered and what you struggle with, and it automatically schedules your next practice session for the exact moment you need it. You don't have to remember. You just show up, test yourself cold, and let the algorithm fight the forgetting curve for you.
Now, storing facts isn't enough to survive the boardroom. Let's move to step 3, associate, and begin building your memory web.
Imagine a filing cabinet, a total graveyard of isolated ideas. A lot of us spend hours organizing digital folders, creating these perfectly isolated lists of facts. But when you're in a high-pressure meeting and a client throws a massive curveball, an isolated fact has no path back to it, it's just trapped. Now compare that to a connected web. Research shows that new learning really becomes durable when it is actively wired to something you already know. Every single connection you build acts like an illuminated road straight back to that concept.
So, how do you actually build this web? Well, you must ruthlessly ask yourself this exact question every single time you learn a piece of information worth keeping. What does this remind me of? Seriously, make it a habit. Ask yourself, what does this connect to that I already understand? Find one link, one analogy, one related concept. That's all it takes. Let's look at a highly accessible example of this in action. Take the economic concept of opportunity cost. On its own, it can sound super academic and dry. But what if you associate it with a dinner menu? Every single time you order one dish at a restaurant, you are actively deciding not to eat everything else on that menu. That lost potential, that right there, is opportunity cost. By linking a complex concept to an incredibly simple, everyday experience, you create an unbreakable mental link. It just never leaves you.
And this is the exact secret of the world's deepest thinkers. Consider chess grandmasters. They don't sit there memorizing thousands of isolated individual pawn moves. Instead, cognitive studies estimate they compress 50,000 to 100,000 experiences into connected, instantly usable patterns. Because their knowledge is a web, not a filing cabinet, they can draw from it instantly, even with a literal clock ticking down in front of them. The power isn't in the storage, you see, it's in the linkage.
All right, let's move to the final piece of the framework. Step 4, perform and build something. There's this amazing tradition at MIT during their independent activities period in January. They basically pause all formal classes for a whole month, and there is only one rule: build something real. Partner up with someone, take what you've learned, and actually build it. True fluency doesn't come from a textbook. It comes from trying, failing, making mistakes, and physically building with your knowledge. That friction, that very human experience, is what solidifies the lesson permanently in your mind. Because ultimately, your mind is not fixed. It is a sculpture that you shape over time. Back in the year 1500, there was this massive, defective block of marble that had been completely abandoned by sculptors. People literally deemed it worthless. But a 26-year-old artist saw something different. He spent 3 years chipping away at it, trying, failing, and building. He turned that rejected rock into Michelangelo's David, one of the greatest masterpieces in human history. Information on its own is exactly like that uncarved block of marble. The value is never in the stone itself, it's in the hands that choose to shape it. So as you go out into the world and gather new knowledge, ask yourself, what will you sculpt today?